To continue with our discussion on the RPMS cycle with DepEd Memorandum 004, a series of 2022, we will now be tackling about three topics: the general guidelines for the RPMS alternative classroom observation, the classroom observation processes in the new normal, the ratee, the rater, and approving authority in the RPMS. Let's go. For the general guidelines of the RPMS Alternative Classroom Observation, the alternative classroom observations for RPMS are considered only for school year 2021-2022. So itong alternative classroom ay ngayon lang ito magaganap na school year kasi nga due to the absence or limited capacity for face-to-face learning. Wala nga namang bata dito. So the selection of alternative classroom observation shall depend on the adopted learning delivery modality of the school. So kung ano po yung learning delivery modality na in-adopt po ng paaralan, yun po ang pamamaraan ng pag-observe sa mga teachers. So we will be discussing now the table 6, which is the alternative classroom observations and their corresponding guidelines. So ito po yung mga listahan ng mga alternative classroom observation. For number 1, observation of real-time teaching. So ito na po yung online synchronous learning or two-way radio instruction. Ang guideline po nito, this applies to teacher who will adopt online synchronous learning or two-way radio instruction regardless of the number of classes and learners. So sa mga teachers po na nag-adopt ng online synchronous learning or radio instruction, itong number 1 na alternative classroom observation ang pwede niya pong gamitin. Number 2, observation of a video lesson or an audio lesson. So, kailan pwedeng magpa-observe si teacher gamit ang kanyang video lesson or an audio lesson? Ito na po yung mga guidelines. Una, consider this mode of observation when option 1 is not possible. So, kung hindi possible po yung real-time teaching, pwede po tayong tumuloy sa pangalawang alternative classroom observation. Next, this applies to teachers who will adopt online asynchronous learning or audio lesson in any of their classroom or classes and learners. So, asynchronous po, yung hindi po magkasabay-sabay ang pagkaturo ni teacher at nag-provide po siya ng audio lesson sa lahat ng kanyang klase. Pwede po to. A video lesson or audio lesson shall be used in lesson delivery as part of the supplementary materials or as one of the learning materials for online asynchronous learning or two-way radio instruction. It is not the same as the video lesson for TV-based instruction or audio lesson for radio-based instruction that the central office or regional division office produces. So, gagawa po si teacher ng video lesson or radio lesson, pero i-make sure niya na hindi po pareho ng nasa broadcast po ng national office, central, regional, and division offices. A video or lesson or audio lesson must be SLM-based. Take note, dapat po kung gumawa kayo ng video or audio lesson, dapat naka-base po siya sa self-learning module or MELC-aligned. A teacher can use any recording device to record herself or himself while teaching a lesson. So supposedly, nagtiteach ka ng lesson, the only difference is you are just recording yourself, pero nagkaklase ka pa rin. A video lesson or audio lesson can be stored in a cloud, example in a Google Drive or any storage device in a flash drive, or uploaded to an online classroom or a learning management system. For number 3, observation of a demonstration teaching via learning action cell. So we have to consider this classroom observation if hindi po available ang option number 1 at ang option number 2. This applies to teachers who will adopt pure modular learning, radio-based instruction, and TV-based instruction. So, nakapaloob po sa DepEd BELCP sa time ng COVID-19 na yung support mechanism ng mga teachers ay pwede nilang makuha through Learning Action Cell para din ma-improve ang kanilang practice sa teaching and also the learner's achievement. So number 4, observation during limited face-to-face classes in low-risk area. So nagsisimula na yung limited face-to-face classes, especially doon sa mga area ng low risk na po sa COVID-19 pandemic. So this shall only apply to authorized public and private schools that are located in minimal or low-risk areas based on the criteria set by the Department of Health and passed the school safety assessment of the IATF. Authorized public and private schools that are allowed to conduct limited face-to-face shall follow the usual classroom observation protocols subject to strict observance of COVID-19 health and safety precautions and prevailing community quarantine. So it is self-explanatory that when you conduct a limited face-to-face, so when you are going to demonstrate a class, so kailangan tayo follow natin yung usual classroom observation protocols. Pero, we have to observe strict observance of COVID-19 health and safety precautions. We must remember that there should be 2 classroom observations for the entire school year. Hence, ratees should submit 2 classroom observation tool or say OT rating sheets or inter-observer agreement forms as MOV for objectives that require such. Example, ano yung mga objective na nangangailangan ng mga COT forms? Objectives number 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. The alternative classroom observation should follow this time frame. So kailan tayo mag-conduct ng classroom observation 1 between September 2021 hanggang February 2022. Kailan ulit tayo mag-conduct ng classroom observation 2 between March 2022 up to July 2022. So what is the classroom observation process in this new normal? So given the implementation of different teaching learning modalities, various classroom observation processes can be done depending on the applicable context and modalities adopted by the school. So, gagawa tayo ng classroom observation, titingnan natin kung ano ba yung na-adopt natin na modalities in continuing the learning of our pupils and also the applicable context. Ano ba yung context ng ating i-demonstrate? The pre-observation, the observation, and post-observation are still to be followed with minimal modification as shown in the table. So, merong table dyan. So, titingnan natin yan later. So, kailangan pa rin mag-follow ng mga teacher ng pre-observation, observation, and post-observation. During the pre-observation, nangangailangan ng COT at RPMS rubric ang teacher at ang ratee at ang rater. So how about kung nag-online observation and through two-way radio instruction? So ang gagawin ni observer, magre-review siya ng COT rubric appropriate to the position of the teacher to be observed and meet with the teacher to discuss the schedule and the online platform to be used for online observation, handheld radio for two-way radio instructions. So, ang gagawin naman ni teacher, i-review din niya yung COT RPMS rubric appropriate to his or her position. So, kung teacher 1 to 3 siya, so dun siya sa sa proficient teacher. Kung master teacher 1, 2, 3, 4 siya, dun siya sa highly proficient na rubric. Then, the teacher will plan the lesson based on the indicators. How about pag mag-o-observe gamit ang video lesson or audio lesson? So, ang gagawin ni observer ay magre-review pa rin siya sa COT RPMS na applicable sa position ni teacher at imi-meet pa rin si teacher para ma-discuss ang schedule of submission of the video or audio lesson. Ang gagawin naman ni teacher in his end ay i-review din niya yung mga rubric appropriate sa position niya. Again, if teacher 1 to 3, dun siya sa proficient teacher rubric. At kung master teacher 1 to 4, dun siya sa highly proficient rubric. So, ipaplano din niya yung lesson based on the indicators, and then he or she will be delivering the lesson using a video or audio recording device. How about pag nag-o-observe ngayon through the learning action cell? Take note that this is just pre-observation, prior to observing. Ano bang i-prepare? So, i-review pa rin yung COT at i-meet pa rin si teacher at i-discuss sa kanya ang schedule ng LAC session intended for demonstration teaching. So, ang gagawin ni teacher, i-review pa rin niya yung COT, a rubric na applicable sa position niya, and then the teacher will now plan the lesson based on the indicators. How about kung nagpapa-observe si teacher in a low-risk area, so limited face-to-face? Before observation, i-review pa rin ang COT, same process, and the observer will meet the teacher to discuss the schedule of the on-site observation. Kasi on-site observation, kasi merong mga bata na. So, mag-o-on-site observation na sila. So, in the end, the teacher will plan the lesson based on the indicators. So, ito yung mangyayari during pre-observation. How about kung observation time na? So, ang tool na gagamitin ni observer at ni teacher ay observation notes form. So, nag-o-observe na siya ng klase. Kung online observation through two-way radio instruction, the observer shall access the online platform of radio frequency at the scheduled synchronous class and record all comments on the observation notes form. Ang gagawin naman ni teacher is to deliver the lesson in the chosen online platform or handheld radio. How about kung nagpapa-observe si teacher gamit ang video lesson or an audio lesson? Ang gagawin ni observer is to view the lesson or listen to the audio lesson after the teacher will submit it, and then record all comments on the observation notes form. The teacher should submit the video or audio lesson to the observers. How about kung ang observation ay done through Learning Action Cell or LAC? The observer will sit at any available seats and record all comments on the observation notes form, while the teacher will deliver the lesson on the agreed time and location of the LAC. How about kung nag-observe during limited face-to-face and in low-risk area? So the observer will sit at any available seats. Pwede ding multiple observers are to sit apart. So dapat hindi magkakatabi-tabi kung nagkakaroon ng multiple observation. And then they will or he will record all the comments on the observation notes form, while the teacher will deliver the lesson on-site on the agreed date and time. So yan po ang mangyayari during observation time sa iba't ibang alternative classroom observation process. Ano naman ang mangyayari during post-observation? So tapos nang mag-observe ng klase. So the tools and the forms needed are the rating sheet and also the inter-observation or inter-observer agreement form. So, kung online ang observation through two-way radio instruction, the observer will rate the teacher, and then in case of multiple, pag marami ang nag-observe, they will going to discuss the rating with fellow observers, and then they will finally decide on the final rating. Si teacher naman ay makikinig na lamang. Observation through audio-video lesson. So, ang gagawin ng mga observer, syempre, is to rate the teacher. And again, in case of multiple observers, magdadiscuss sila among themselves kung ano ba ang dapat na mailagay na point doon sa indicator na yon. And they will decide on the final rating. At yan din ang gagawin through LAC and then through observation in the limited face-to-face or in classes in low-risk areas. Take note, for the highly proficient teachers, the master teachers 1, 2, 3, and 4, a proof of attendance during observation is part of their MOV. So do not forget na maggawa tayo, mga master teacher, ng attendance sheet Hence, the following protocols should be observed. So ito po dapat ang ma-observe ng mga protocols. Online synchronous learning or two-way register instruction. Invite your colleagues to sit in your synchronous class and have an attendance sheet signed after the class. Halimbawa, kung nag-observe through video or audio lesson, give a copy of your video or audio lesson to your colleagues which they should view. Next, they have an attendance sheet signed afterwards. Note that observers must ensure that colleagues view the lesson or listen the audio lesson. Next, halimbawa kung nag-observe through LAC. Number 3, you should invite your colleagues to observe your demonstration teaching during a LAC session and have them sign the attendance sheet. If observation occurs in a limited and face-to-face classes in low-risk areas, you have to invite your colleague to sit in your limited face-to-face and then have an attendance sheet signed after the class. So all master teachers should take note that in every classroom observation, there should be a proof of attendance by the colleague. Now, who are the ratee, who are the rater and approving authority in the RPMS? So the DepEd Order number 2, series of 2015, are the guidelines on the establishment and implementation of the Results-Based Performance Management System, or RPMS, in the Department of Education, establishes who the raters are and their corresponding raters and approving authorities. So we will be going to see the table below as reference to the expanded version of the ratee-rater matrix. This is now the matrix of RPMS, ratee-rater approving authority. Okay. Pag sinabing ratee, sila yung teacher. Pag sinabing rater, sila yung observer. Pag sinabing authority, sila yung pipirma. Now, kung ang ratee ay head teacher at master teacher, so ang mag-o-observe or ang magre-rate sa kanila is the principal or the school head. And the approving authority is the superintendent para sa mga small at medium divisions. Assistant superintendent naman kung large and very large division. Now, if si teacher ang magre-ratee, ang magre-rate sa kanya ay si principal at si school head. And then, for small and medium divisions, si superintendent pa rin yung approving authority at si assistant superintendent naman ang approving authority sa mga large at very large divisions. Now, for the teacher, pwedeng si master teacher ang mag-observe, si head teacher at si assistant principal. At ang approving authority is the principal and the school head. For the ALS implementers, which is school-based, si master teachers, head teachers, si assistant principal ang magre-rate or mag-o-observe. And then, the approving authority is the principal and the school head. The ALS implementers, community centers based, the education program specialist for ALS, and then the approving authority is the chief of the CID or the curriculum implementation division.